Hello, welcome back to UFO News for August and September 2025. Yes, so disclosure goes on and there is a lot of things happening. So we are still in the stream of change, and the change is going to become more and more pronounced or shown to us humans, because we are both changing spiritually and technologically, and things are coming to the surface, and many things which people really can't handle, or it's getting too emotional and it's triggering both their ego and their aggressiveness, but also triggering hearts and love. So there's a lot of emotions. We humans are special, and they know it, both the extraterrestrials and the players on this planet. And these months we have 9 news, or more 8, because the first is an introduction. And we have a new UFO hearing, which we had 9th of September, and there is cool UFO videos, and there is a lot of news for these months too. And we are still having the Comet I3 Atlas, which they can't really make up what is. Some say it's a cedar of life which spreads out carbon dioxide and nickel. Others say now it's becoming more and more like a comet, but it has come from outside of our solar system. Okay. 2. The Book of Light. And we have a new drawing. I have decorated one of my pages. I'm not finished, but I come to page 104, so it's going forward. And you can buy the book on Amazon. I think it's like $30 now. It is called The Book of Light, The Only Solution is Love, by Thomas Petterson. So you can buy it on Amazon and also on ebook. Use the Kindle app on your phone. It's $5, so it's cheaper on the ebook. Number 3, UFO history. John Reed alien case, 1996. A very cool case with extraterrestrials and spaceships and teleportation devices.
I need to take a picture of this because I don't really think it's there. I don't think it's going to be photographed because I think it's an illusion in my mind. And I kept finding comfort in trying to convince myself that none of this was real, that none of this had happened, and that I was just faced with some kind of personal, physical trauma that I was experiencing. Maybe a brain hemorrhage, maybe something like a stroke. But that's where my mind was at. It wasn't dealing with the reality of what really was there, because I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what the creature was. I didn't know what this black shape was. I had no idea, and my mind really didn't want to go there. It really wanted to go just to preserve my health, and that was really what was going on. Just physically calm down so that I didn't die, because that's what I felt like. I felt like I was going to die. To make me out as a crazy man, some insane person, motivated for who knows what reason. I let everyone judge for themselves. If this experience happened to you, how would you deal with it? That's the question I always ask everybody else. I am not trying to convince anybody that anything happened. I don't want to convince anybody. I'm not trying to convince anybody. I'm not trying to prove any of the evidence anymore at all. I stopped all of that 6 years ago because we had the proof. We had the scientific evidence proven. What the DNA told us, what the blood and tissue samples told us, because I took this creature home from the woods. I wrapped it up in a thermal blanket that I had and literally carried it back to my Jeep as sick as I was because it was very light, and I didn't want to leave it there. I was afraid. I thought maybe I'd murdered something. I wasn't thinking clearly. I just thought, I'm going to take it with me. And I took it with me. I drove home, and I put it in my freezer in my garage because it was a piece of meat. It was literally a dead animal.
This is what so many people have tried to say doesn't exist, or simply is a figment of someone's imagination. It has symbols across the front of it. This is what I found in the forest in 1996 when I first encountered the creature, or the alien. I believe that it's some kind of bioelectric interface between the wearer of this device and the owners of it, that they actually activate it. It has 3 needles on the inside that actually penetrate your arm, the wearer of this, that I think creates a interface, biological interface with the device and or the beings who use it. So my impression of it is that it's designed to keep control and communication between the extraterrestrial and their superiors. I believe it fits on your arm, the wearer's arm, like this. If you push down, the needles penetrate your skin, tissue, and into the nerves of your arm. There is some pain to it, but it quickly goes away. It becomes kind of a cold, almost a frozen type feeling. Very quickly that pain subsides. But if it functions, which sometimes it doesn't, it starts a throbbing inside your chest, literally a pulsation inside your chest that starts from the center and emanates to your extremities and becomes harder and harder. And then when that happens, then it starts to be activated by, there, now I can feel it. I can feel it in my chest. It's painful, but if I hold my chest, it has a tendency to be less painful. And then they make the decision whether
Number 4, James Webb News. 2 videos and 1 picture.
The constellation Scorpius lies along the dusty lanes near the center of our Milky Way galaxy. Within these dark, dense clouds, new stars form and create glowing nebulae. At the heart of the Lobster Nebula is a brilliant cluster of stars called Pismis 24. Using infrared light, NASA's James Webb Space Telescope captured this spectacular view of the massive star cluster and nearby clouds of dust and gas. In the core of the Lobster Nebula shines the brilliant star cluster, Pismis 24. NASA's James Webb Space Telescope captured this dramatic scene, illustrating how newborn stars can reshape their environment. Heated by the stars, these clouds of dust and gas glow brightly in infrared light. One newborn star helps illuminate and evacuate a cavern within the clouds. Strong winds and energetic radiation from the massive stars stream across and erode the dust clouds. Long, finger-like structures point back toward the cluster of stars. Pismis 24 contains a large number of very massive, very luminous stars. The brightest member is actually a multiple star system, with at least 3 massive stars orbiting each other.
Number 5. UFO videos. 4 videos, including the famous hellfire-stricken orb from the 9th of September UFO Congressional hearing.
You'll see it's deep blue. But what I mean, this shit is sitting there. What in the actual fuck is going on? What in the fuck is going on?
Specifically ones that have sensor training or have been able to recognize some of this movements real quick. So if you guys can please roll that real quick. Okay, while this is still rolling, Mr. Nusatelli, real quick yes or no answers. Are you aware of anything in the government, United States government arsenal that can split a Hellfire missile like this?
No.
And do whatever blob thing it did and then keep going? Nothing?
Nothing.
All right, how about you, Chief Wiggins?
Nothing to my knowledge, ma'am.
Okay, and how about you, Mr. Borland?
I prefer to answer that in a skiff.
Number 6, UFO Congressional hearing, 9th of September. 3 videos.
Good morning and welcome to the hearing regarding UAP disclosures. For too long, the issue of unidentified anomalous phenomena, commonly known as UAPs, has been shrouded in secrecy, stigma, and in some cases, outright dismissal. Today, I want to state clearly that this is not science fiction or creating speculation. This is about national security, government accountability, and the American people's right to the truth. I've spoken now to a number of whistleblowers from the military, to include the infamous Eglin Air Force Base incident that occurred when myself and former Representative Matt Gaetz, as well as Representative Burchett, followed up on a lead from multiple active-duty Air Force pilot whistleblowers that alleged that the United States Air Force was covering up UAP activity at Eglin Air Force Base. We have heard from a number of whistleblowers, specifically military pilots, that the reason for not coming forward publicly is out of fear that speaking out would cost them their flight status and potentially their careers. This is unacceptable. We cannot protect our airspaces if our best trained observers are silenced. We cannot advance science if we refuse to ask questions. And we cannot maintain trust in government if we keep the American people in the dark. Now, Congress has tried to fix this problem. Congress tried to create formal channels through the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, also known as AARO, and the Intelligence Community Inspector General for service members and officials to make disclosures. But the reality, the reports come in are often to brush aside, slow-walked, or met with skepticism rather than serious investigation. Recently, the former AARO director, known as Sean Kilpatrick, attacked our witnesses and members on this committee. It should be noted that he's a documented liar and brings into question what his purpose at AARO really was if it was not to follow up on investigations and disclose his findings to members of Congress. A former Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for Intelligence, Chris Mellon, described a report published by AARO that found no evidence that any USG investigation, academic-sponsored research, or official review panel has confirmed any sighting of UAP-represented extraterrestrial technology. As the most error-ridden and unsatisfactory government report I can recall reading during after decades of government service. Mellon further noted that this was a first error report submitted to Congress without the Director of National Intelligence's sign-off and seemingly excluded input from any scholars or experts who have studied or written extensively about this topic, as would normally be in any other case in this field. Mellon determined that this report failed to fulfill the congressional mandate under which it was required, omitted entire agencies with known investigations or activities related to UAPs, and omitted any discussion of efforts to hide classified or unclassified information about UAP. Such efforts were unaddressed by the report, despite the existence of agency records and investigations concurring with them, including those at U.S. Customs and Border Protection. If we set up offices and oversight bodies only to let them become graveyards for testimony, or worse yet, ruses for pretending to investigate when in actuality there was no follow-up, then we are not doing our jobs. In recent months, Congress has also been presented with evidence that— Thank you, Chief. I now recognize Mr. Knapp for his opening statement.
Good morning, Chairwoman Luna, Ranking Member, Ms. Crockett, and members of the task force. And Dina Titus, I just knew we were going to get you involved in this topic at one point. Great to see you here. I'm George Knapp, Chief Investigative Reporter at KLES TV in Las Vegas. I began my pursuit of this weird mystery way back in 1987, and for 38 years, I've always approached this as a news story. It's not a matter of faith or belief. To me, it's a story, and it's an important one. I'm proud to be here alongside these witnesses today, men who have seen strange things and stepped forward to tell the world about it. Whistleblowers and witnesses who step up are routinely insulted, belittled, or worse. They risk their reputations, their careers, their clearances, their livelihoods, and sometimes much worse than that, even their freedom. I know that one of the goals of the task force here is to figure out ways to protect whistleblowers and witnesses, and it's a tall order because so many of the things that happen to witnesses like these are extra-legal. They're carried out by persons unknown, as Mr. Dave Grush, sitting up at the top of the room, knows all too well, including events in recent days that have happened to him. I want to share a couple of things that I've learned along the way on this long journey, and I submitted most of that in written form because I estimate that my statement here today would take about 4.5 hours. So I'm going to try to jump over and touch on the more important salient points. I submitted the detailed written statement for the record, and we'll go into a lot of that here. But the public has been told over and over since the late 40s, there's nothing to worry about here. These mysterious craft seen by millions of people in the skies, in the oceans, over the land are not real. They're not a threat. The witnesses are wrong. They're crackpots. Don't believe it. That changed for me. What got me hooked is the paper trail. Documents that were squeezed out of the U.S. government after the FOIA, Freedom of Information Act, became the law of the land. And those documents paint a much different picture than what the public, the press, and Congress have been told over many years. The documents from military and intelligence personnel behind closed doors admit that, quote, these things are real. They're not fictitious. They can fly in formation. They're evasive, and they outperform any aircraft known to exist, including ours. The public, of course, as I said, has been told something much different. Back in 1989, I reported about a guy named Bob Lazar, who claimed that he worked at a facility dubbed S4 out in the Nevada desert, very near to Area 51. He said he was part of a reverse engineering program. He said there are alien craft that will be taken apart to figure out how they operated out there, and that was a pretty tall order. I had clearly taken a dive into the deep end of the pool there. But in the years since then, I've interviewed dozens of other people, and I've detailed what their testimony has been in the written statement. They include Senator Harry Reid, Senator Howard Cannon, also of Nevada, a guy named Al O'Donnell, who was the first general manager of EG&G in Nevada, which managed the Nevada test site, which blew up hundreds of nuclear weapons. There's a guy named Dr. James Lakatsky, who was a career scientist with the Defense Intelligence Agency, who was the guy who initiated a program called OSAP, Advanced Aerospace Weapons Systems Application Program, which is, as far as we know, the largest acknowledged UFO program ever funded by the U.S. government, which put together an amazing pile of information that members of this committee and the world, most of which have never seen. The DIA still hasn't released 95% of what was prepared by that program at a cost of millions and millions of dollars.
Opening statements.
Good morning, members of the task force and the committee. I would like to express my gratitude for being invited to testify to the current task force created under the People's Chamber and the American public. As an American citizen, veteran, and intelligence community professional, it is an honor and a privilege to serve under oath before you on behalf of our country. I speak for myself and no former agency or company I have been previously affiliated with. My name is Dylan Borland, a former 1N1 geospatial intelligence specialist for the United States Air Force in an active duty enlisted capacity from 2010 to 2013. I've also been employed with BAE Systems and Intrepid Solutions as a senior analyst, expert in analyzing video, radar, and advanced electro-optical imagery for official identification of aerial order of battle as well as naval and ground order of battle. I'm a federal whistleblower, having testified to both the ICIG and ARROW with direct firsthand knowledge of and experience with craft and technologies that are not ours and are reportedly operating without congressional oversight. Because of my direct knowledge of the reality of certain legacy UAP programs, my professional career was deliberately obstructed, and I have endured sustained reprisals from government agencies for over a decade. From 2011 to 2013, I was stationed at Langley Air Force Base, Virginia, conducting 24-hour operations via manned and unmanned aerial vehicles for Special Operations Forces in the global war on terror. During the summer of 2012, my team was on standby for weather, and I returned to my barracks on base, and at approximately 01:30, I saw an approximately 100-foot equilateral triangle take off from near the NASA hangar on the base. The craft interfered with my telephone, did not have any sound, and the material it was made of appeared fluid or dynamic. I was under this triangular craft for a few minutes, and then it rapidly ascended to commercial jet level in seconds, displaying zero kinetic disturbance, sound, or wind displacement. Some years after that experience, I was further exposed to classified information from the UAP legacy crash retrieval program through a sensitive position I held within a special access program. During this time, intelligence officers approached me in fear for their own careers, citing misconduct within these programs and similar retaliation that I was already enduring at this time. These issues include medical malpractice committed by Veterans Affairs staff, denial of work I performed while enlisted in the United States Air Force, forged and manipulated employment documents, workplace harassment, including colleagues being directed to not speak with me, manipulation of my security clearance by certain agencies, blocking, delaying, and ultimately removing my ability to be employed within the IC. The retaliation I face and the retaliation against individuals I know who worked in these programs is what convinced me in March 2023 to become a whistleblower. I came forward out of concern for people's lives and to ensure I did everything I could to let our elected representatives know the truth about what is really happening in the executive branch. At the end of March 2023, I agreed to meet with AARO following the suggestion of other federal officials believing it was what our nation required of me. I had reservations with AARO due to assessments they were reporting publicly at the time as a misrepresentation of the truth. Because of these concerns, I did not share sources and methods information in order to protect current and former federal personnel who had firsthand exposure to technologies of unknown origin. I did not want anyone to face further retaliation beyond what they had already endured. And unfortunately, a staff member ended up getting in some trouble because of that. After David Grush testified under oath in the summer of 2023 and provided historic disclosure, I was then asked to go to the ICIG and did so in August 2023. It was very clear early on during my intake interview, which was video recorded under oath, that the objective was to solely assess how much I know and not move forward with an investigation with new information I provided them. The aftermath of that IG complaint still troubles me to this day. Since my ICIG complaint, I've been prevented from resuming prior employment and can confirm I'm still blacklisted from certain agencies within the intelligence community. In addition, multiple agencies attempted phishing attacks to assess what I had divulged to the Inspector General, including being asked to disclose details of my ICIG complaint during a CI polygraph for a position unrelated to UFO UAP matters as recently as November 2024. As I sit before you today, I and many other whistleblowers have no job prospects, no foreseeable professional future, and a nation every single one of us came forward to defend. Numerous individuals have come forward in various ways to reveal the truth of the UAP reality as patriots and defenders of our nation. Yet many feel discarded, isolated, hopeless, separated from the country they serve. Efforts to rectify this situation for all whistleblowers have been difficult and troubling. And to my fellow whistleblowers and officials who know this information, I offer you my apology, something that I have never gotten, and I'm giving it to you. I swore an oath to the Constitution of the United States, an oath that demands truth and transparency for our democratic republic to function. Each day, these truths remain hidden from our citizens. Humanity drifts further from the principles our nation was founded to uphold. Each day, victims of crimes committed by agencies and companies maintaining this secrecy are denied justice as another day our Constitution is shredded. In 2023, Patriots provided this committee and the executive branch with undeniable proof of the UAP reality, and I commend your continued commitment. The future of humanity is one which we either travel to the stars or regress to the Stone Age with this technology. My career has been to deliver critical information to decision makers. Your role as elected by your representatives is to act on it. The time to act is now. Thank you.
Mr. Borland, thank you for your service to our country, and we appreciate you. And we are sorry about how you've been treated, and we will make sure that we try to rectify that situation.
Thank you, ma'am.
Number 7, Stephen Greers podcast with John Stewart as guest, talking about the alien examination from Area 51 or S4.
Hey, man. This is what I wrote about in 1999 when I wrote the paper and warned that, and I called it the disclosure that serves secrecy. In other words, a disclosure that would serve the secret agenda of this group of people who have been lying to the American people and staging false events for 80 years. And it's mostly a psyop. So, the big problem with this is that I'm the guy who started the Disclosure Project in the 90s. But what I see happening is that disclosure is being hijacked by this kind of spin by people who are actually kind of carrying the message of this crime syndicate.
Well said.
That's that.
Yeah, I agree. You have to, if you want to spin the narrative that extraterrestrials are here to destroy us and cause our destruction, show me. I did, Dr. Gray, I think you would agree. Show me in 80 years where that has happened. All we have are stories, a lot of anecdotal, but stories nonetheless of extraterrestrials, interdimensional, whatever they may be, doing the exact opposite. So again, you're right. It's the new boogeyman. Keep the money flowing to the DOD, and I have a fundamental problem with that, as I'm sure you do too.
Yeah, but it's not even going to the mainline military. Those guys, look, having briefed generals and heads of the Defense Intelligence Agency and people like that, admirals and others who are in sitting positions at the Pentagon, they don't know anything about this. And this is what most people don't realize. The people who are read in are part of the criminal operations. The ones who don't, you could be the chairman of the Joint Chiefs and you're not read in. This is a mistake everyone makes. The first CI director I briefed wasn't read in, and nor was the president. It was back in the Clinton era. And so I think people don't realize that there's two tracks here. Yes. One is the very deep cover illegal track, and there are some CI directors who know and some don't. Right. It depends on where they've come from.
Correct.
But they're part of this. They're under a non-official cover status, NOC status. So I think in this case, the other problem is when you look at the history of our thermonuclear weapons, when we detonated the first one, it puts out an electromagnetic pulse, but it also has within it a scalar signal that sort of rips through space-time faster than the speed of light and disrupts interstellar and extraterrestrial and transdimensional travel and communications. So this is the other part of this that no one talks about. And you really have to do a deep dive into the scalar technologies and electromagnetic pulse effects to understand why when we do detonate these objects, these bombs, it causes a huge problem, not just here, but elsewhere in the universe. And I think this was something that Oppenheimer and Teller and others did not anticipate until it happened. And then they realized, oh, well,
like a supernova or an exploding star that we see 1,000 years later. Can I ask you a question? Do you think that the nuclear tests, especially the ones in New Mexico and Trinity and whatnot, do you think that is still reverberating through the solar system and the Milky Way or beyond, or do you think that it has a firewall that it stops? I would be very interested to know that, because if it's going to go like continue like a lights of us seeing a star that exploded and we see it 1,000 years later, is the planet still going to be sending out this massive the kids have the nuclear bomb? What is your take on that?
Oh yeah, because anything moving at the speed of light moves at 186,000 miles per second,
right?
Which is the speed of light. That would be the electromagnetic pulse. But the scalar is more like quantum entanglement. It's a longitudinal. It's not a waveform. It's a point that goes out in a straight line, and it goes transdimensionally, virtually instantaneously. And that's where you get this. This is why I always say a big red flag, warning, flashing light went over the Earth in 1945, and then got worsened with the thermonuclear weapons of when we detonated in the early 50s, the first hydrogen or thermonuclear, which is much more destructive than an atomic bomb of the 40s.
Number 8. Oldies but Goldies. 3 cases, 15 pictures. Number 9, a channeling with Alexandra from the Andromedan Council of Light. Humans, welcome. This is Alexandra of the Andromedan Council of Light. May love and harmony and wisdom guide you through your life and through eternity. We are guiding this one towards love and peace. He is loved and protected, and guarded. He is precious, you can say. He is sent here to wake humanity up and to be a wake-up call with all the others which are now triggering and awakening around the world for a shift towards more high vibrations and unity and also love. But that which has been playing out here on earth needs to play out so it can be seen and chosen away or fade away. So people take other choices and see that the darkness has really only taught them what they do not need and what the light is. It is of course a learner, a teacher, because on the dark canvas you see the light shining towards you. And then you really know who you are. An orb of light which are here to learn and grow. And the endless cycles of lives which you have incarnated to is a part of your infinite soul journey, where you teach, where you learn, where you grow, where you live, and where you expand towards higher and higher levels and understanding of yourself. Because life is just a movement towards the light again, towards unity and what you have always been, an eternal being and thought of love. You are only here to see yourself from different points of view and to gain new experience for that which is everlasting and infinite. An infinite, everlasting presence and consciousness. And now we come here to you, to waken you faster, to get you out of the waves of friction and polarity towards positivity and higher frequencies of light and love. We have always been here. We have always been guided and wanting to know Earth better. And as we come from another galaxy, we see you, we saw you awaken here on this planet. We saw you remembering and reuniting and becoming humanity through polarity and many, many conflicts and wars, but also through love and growing and understanding. This is life. This is to become and learn something new. to go on from levels to levels to levels, and in the end, remember truly who you are here in the physical dream, that you truly was everything from the start, and you only separated part of yourself to see this and live this, to become the experience, to become the knowledge and take it with you to the next level of understanding and rebuilding new universes and creations in unity with the everlasting creation. Now many come to help you and to hold your frequency up while we seed and replant, and also refuse you with higher light and higher photonic energies and wisdom, and upgrade your DNA so you understand and can take and hold more light and a higher vibration, and to end the wars and the conflicts, to let it play out and guide you in a new peaceful manner towards a planet where you all stand together in love and wisdom and heart and live in peace for as long as it is needed and understood by your people. Things can change, but things can evolve towards more stable unity and love and true desires of light. You are loved and you are guided with our presence and our heart, and we will see that you are awakened in the right matter and frequency and guided towards a higher presence and expansion. Thank you, and much love from Alexandra. My light shines upon you. May love and light be ever present around you. Sinani te du ani no kones ye yun alena yakune